Hi and hello, my fellow football Americans. We got Brad Williams coming up to help bridge us from NFL Week 12 to Thanksgiving. Meantime, though, you know what I'm thankful for? Thanksgiving. I can't stand when people bellyache about any of it. The meat, the booze, family, and football. How dare you speak ill of any of it? Especially football. Also family, I guess. But football. We've been conditioned by more predictable forms of entertainment, the ones that always end with the hero winning, which works in part because we collectively agree on who the hero is going in. With sports, though, half the audience is rooting for Darth Vader. In general, too, football fandom is just plain more of a gamble. But thanks to football and its pals hockey et al., we're all Marty McFly. Sports are a time-bending vehicle to the past, present, and future. An upcoming vacation from tedious reality. Something to look forward to next week, next month, or next autumn. And they provide a rear-view mirror that takes us back in time to our pals and our families. Now don't get me wrong, it's not all pecan pie, unless your pie sometimes makes you sick. Sports as happy distraction is a naive rationalization. Fact of the matter is, they break our hearts and they trample our dreams, and it's made all the worse because we choose to enter the emotional torture chamber again and again. I wouldn't encourage any youngin' start watching, except for the benefits that come along for the ride in this sports car. I get it, there's something a little weird about celebrating ourselves for watching other people do stuff, but those other people doing stuff is what James Earl Jones waxed about at the end of Field of Dreams. Sports mark history, but not just the history of a mere nation, no, but our own personal history. But unlike with movies, we football fans don't have to see our heroes win. Otherwise, how else could you explain the ongoing existence of Browns and Jets fans? I don't think misery loves company is an absolute truth, but it is where football's concerned. It's in the shared misery of hoping to see them win one day, someday, that's the whole point. TV's my best friend now, but with all due respect, pal, I don't remember games with an HD view from the 50. I remember where I was and who I was with. Unlike most other stuff on TV, we don't see our sports memories from a collective POV, but with our own distinct perspectives. Why don't I ever shut up about my favorite teams? Because of my sister and her now 2 grown boys, all more diehard than even I am. Still up there in the stands, where my old man and Uncle Scott and Uncle Mike and Poppy used to sit. And even if we can't see some of them, I can definitely hear them. I can hear my old man saying, "That's the worst call I've ever seen." And I can hear Uncle Scott's laugh, and I can hear Poppy saying, "I be go to hell." But we're all together, and we're all jammed into that one sports car. By the way, shotgun. And one of my nephews, you're riding hump. You like road trips? This one lasts a lifetime or even longer. Rides back to all the autumns and winters, the 0-degree tailgates, and the ones before the Hoosiers got good too. Or pulling off US 40 outside Amarillo to catch a playoff game. Or slumped on a couch for 8 hours flanked by the guys I just spent the whole week working with. Or 7 text chains with different groups about the same game. Or the last decade of turkey bowls with some weird kids I've gotten to know. Connecting me back to turkey bowls in Shecker Memorial Stadium with some other weird kids I knew. And I still know. Quite a vehicle, that sports car. Let's start the show. Yes, hi and hello and happy Thanksgiving, my fellow football Americans. Welcome to Football America, presented as ever by our pals at DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We've already been given the gift of a grand trio of Thanksgiving Day games, starting with Pack at Lions, finishing with Bungles at Birdies, and the meat in the middle, you can call it turkey or carnitas or whatever kind of meat you prefer. Chiefs at Cowboys. 3 words for that one. Ooh, la, and la. Our boy Gino Fuentes, sadly, is home with all his sick girlies. Best to all of them. So Ethan Badowski, our old pal, is filling in once again. Much obliged to you, Ethan and Mike. It's episode 28. So let's honor the guy who wore that jersey number best. 28, pretty obvious. I think at the top of the pile, but I'm interested in your opinions, is probably Marshall Faulk. If you do the rankings of the greatest running backs of the Super Bowl era, more and more you're starting to see Marshall Faulk. I don't know how many other people do it besides me, but in the small handful of people who do entertain such lists, Marshall Faulk belongs in the top 6 or 7. Anyhow, how say you and how are you, fellas?
I would go, I'm good, Dave. Thanks for having me back. I would go Adrian Peterson. He's certainly the best, of my lifetime. I mean, his season when he won the MVP in 2012 was the greatest running back season I've ever seen. And he was just, he was that guy. He went number 1 in fantasy every single year. And he was a dominant force at running back that I don't think we've seen since. Maybe Derrick Henry comes close, but I don't know. CJ2K is up there too for me as far as running backs go.
It's an interesting thing you float, though, based on age, Ethan, which is that there really aren't a number of high-end running backs in the 21st century. I talk about a small handful. That's what you got about these premier runners who stack up against history's best. Who you got there, Mike Fuentes?
Someone who tormented my childhood, Dan Marino's, the guy who helped architect Dan Marino's last game, Fred Taylor.
Gator.
Yeah, the Gators, Fred Taylor, Jacksonville legend Fred Taylor. He wore number 28. Let me see. It seems to be a lot of running backs. He already mentioned CJ2K.
By the way, how's Fred Taylor not in the Hall of Fame? People do the who needs to get in and whatever Hall of Fame. I'm glad the Cobra Dave Parker finally gained admission to the baseball one. So now I feel like the most looming guys out there are NFL guys for that. I mean, Torrey Holt not being in is loco. I think Ricky Waters deserves to be in. I know a lot of people will tout Roger Craig. He's a tick below some of these names, but yes, Fred Taylor was dominant as far as I'm concerned. To give you a couple more to consider, another Hall of Famer, and you mentioned Dan Marino, or the Dolphins at least. Darrell Green went 28th overall. He was the last pick of the world famous 1983 NFL draft. DeMarco Murray had some nice years. He probably doesn't make the winner's stand. Warwick Dunn was real good, and he's a great human being. Besides CJ2K, a few special years there. And then there's Jonathan Taylor among the current guys. Let's put them 1, 2, 3, once and for all. Mike Fuentes, you break the tie here. Adrian Peterson or Marshall Faulk? Or if you want to go Fred Taylor, you can do that one too.
I probably go Adrian Peterson. Same thing as Ethan. I remember him the most growing up. Marshall Faulk was great, but I was probably a little too young to understand how great he was, right? Or just not caring about football at the time. But I remember Adrian Peterson being very dominant. I remember the CJ2K 2,000-yard season, how electric that was. Him and Landell White. I remember Landell White had, we'll say, a little bit of a weight problem. But I remember one year he rushed for like 800-something yards, but he had 16 touchdowns. He was like a goal line animal. It was great.
Get a handshake from Marshall Faulk. Or sorry, from Adrian Peterson.
I did, yes. An iron grip.
And you do have a hand. Like it's legit. Might be the strongest handshake I've ever had in my life. Was handshaking Adrian funny. Peterson. And I was like, whoa.
There's Soup Campbell weighing in with his handshake anecdote from Adrian Peterson. Any chance that Jonathan Taylor overcomes any of our top three and works himself by the end of his career? I guess doing something special in January of 26 would go a long way towards achieving that.
Yeah, if he can have a couple more seasons like the one he's having now.
As long as Anthony Richardson is not his quarterback, he'll be fine. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Also, in 28s, if we're going 28s, I got to put a plug in for Burt Blyleven.
How about famous Buster Posey
for the Minnesota Twins?
How about
was incredible Hall of Famer.
One of the greatest football players of all time. We discovered looking through this list that Cristiano Ronaldo actually wore 28 when he started.
What?
Yeah, when he started at Sporting as a youngster, and at Manchester United when he was in the academy, he wore number 28.
Wow.
You know, Adrian Peterson wore 26 in Washington, right? He wore 28 at Oklahoma, but he wore 26 with Washington. And then that makes me think of 26 in Saquon Barkley. And we didn't really lean into that number a couple episodes ago. But here's a question for you. Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, Le'Veon Bell. Who's the best running back of the 21st century?
Oof.
I think that's your list,
AP.
right? Or I'm sorry, Derrick Henry also has to be.
I would lean AP. He was just so good.
Man, those Le'Veon Bell years are so great. Like, he did everything, right? The patient running, the catching the ball out of the backfield. He was so good. But he just missed that season and never came back, right? I mean,
that's the thing is that left such a sour taste in my mouth that you forget about those few years where he was by far. But AP, it felt like his entire career was like the guy in the NFL.
He was great, but he wasn't a pass catcher. And the big knock, and I know the analytics people get upset when you narrow things down to singular moments in the playoffs. But of course, that's the whole point of a football season, is what happens in the playoffs. And Adrian Peterson, for the record, did fumble that game away. Brett Favre also threw it away in overtime down in the Superdome against Drew Brees and the Saints. But people kind of sort of let Peterson off the hook for a number of fumbles in that one that kind of swung the game as well. But Dowski, while we have you here, there's got to be some NHLers, yes?
Okay, so the first name that came to my mind, because my hockey history, admittedly, is pretty limited, was Claude Giroux. He's like one of the great face-off guys in the NHL still, and he was so good on those Flyers teams. I did some research, though, and the consensus seems to be that Steve Larmer is the best hockey player to ever wear the number 28.
All right, let's move on to the jerk list. We got a special guest for this one. All right, fellas, we got us a comedy big shot joining us for the jerk list today. He's got a show upcoming at the San Jose Civic this Saturday, November 29th. Then at the very end of the year of our Lord 2025, December 30th and 31st down in Florida, he's got a show. You can find out find out more about those dates and all of his upcoming 2026 tour. It takes him across the sea over to Europe. BradWilliamsComedy.com is how you find out all of that. It's Brad Williams. What's happening, man? Long time no see. How you been?
Doing absolutely fantastic. Great to be here talking with the great Dave Dameshek and coming off such an exciting slate of NFL football Sunday. I know you got a big smile on your face. So this is a good day to be here, man.
No, I'm not smiling as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I think you have me confused. You just mentioned the great Dave Dameshek. He's not here. You got the other one. You got the regular one here. Before we jump in,
average Dave Dameshek. Okay, let's go with that one.
I gotta say, here's an uncomfortable mention, uncomfortable comment. When you and I met each other, I mean, it's got to be 20 years ago at least now.
Yeah.
And you used to come around. We would do the same shows and podcasts and all of that with Adam Carolla and beyond. And I intend this as a compliment, and I hope you take it as one. You got 15 minutes because and all your material was about being a little person and understandable. But man, it's now been decades since you've transcended that. People don't talk about you in any terms other than nationally successful and hysterical Brad Williams. How's that hit you? Is that I hope you take that, like I say, as a compliment, because that's how it's intended.
Totally a compliment, and thank you for that. That's kind of how it was. I know that being a little person could kind of get me out of the gates a little faster than most people. When you walk on stage, you want people to be interested. And when I would walk on stage as a little person, a lot of people haven't interacted with one before. They would kind of see me and just kind of go, well, this is interesting. And I would have to talk about it, because if I didn't talk about it, the entire audience would just kind of sit there like, does he know? And it's, yeah, I'm aware. I'm fully aware. Every time I take a shower in a hotel room, I'm reminded. But yes, but then every now and then I'll still have a critic just like, oh, Brad Williams, he only talks about being a dwarf. And it's like, well, there's been 3 comedy albums and 4 comedy specials. Just did the 5th special, which will come out in a couple of months. I don't think I could be on stage for 6 hours going, I could take a bath in a thimble. That's weird. Like, I can't do that. So you have to move on to other things. And I just like being known as being funny. Well, if you Google dwarf comedian, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that pops up. I do like just being known for being funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you do Hall of Fame voting or you hear about it, one element that is critical is longevity. Obviously, high-end talent factors in as well, but one of the hardest things to do in sports as well as entertainment is last more than those 15 minutes. And like I say, you're way past that. So good for you, because that's the hardest trick of all, is to stick around for any amount of time. Yeah. And so you have, and so have your Denver Broncos. And in fact, they now sit atop the AFC West standings. How nervous, how excited are you about Bo Nix and what's going there, and the fact that you have the Chiefs now in a tough spot? I mean, I think they can't catch you. Only the Chargers can at this point. How say you?
With that, I will say I believe I'm not even known as being the dwarf comedian anymore. I might be known for being the Bronco fan comedian. I started doing this thing where every Sunday after the Broncos win, I post a video of me dancing on the Jumbotron at Empower Field at Mile High to Chapel Rowan's Pink Pony Club. And it's caught on. It's caught on. I get sent videos of other people dancing to that song. Some previous Denver Broncos have reached out to me saying how much they love it. A couple of Hall of Famers. That's kind of nice. And it's been really cool. And it's been really exciting because since the Super Bowl win in 2015, the Broncos were an afterthought. We were almost Cleveland Brownish with the rotation of quarterbacks every year. Someone new to come in, whether it be a Brock Osweiler, whether it be a Trevor Siemian, whether it be and then God help us with the Russell Wilson years. So it's great that now we're sitting atop. I still have a little bit of that nobody believes in us thing. People think we win ugly and we're not dominating. But if you look around the league, who's dominating?
You really said it, friend. That's season. It. This is the thing I keep talking about, and Mike Fuentes was texting me on the side yesterday watching the games about the Ravens. See, they're not that good. And my retort to anybody focused in on just one team is, look around the league. No one's great. You know what isn't also great? I've only been to a game in Denver one time. And it was before the AFC title game, before Super Bowl 40, where the Steelers won, and then they beat the Seahawks, Roethlisberger's sophomore season and all that. I remember walking around the stadium beforehand, and I had a Steelers ball cap on. Anything more would be obnoxious. I don't think it's smart to go into an opposing stadium dressed to the nines and then expect for somebody, given the climate in these United States, I don't think it's a great idea to anticipate somebody not slugging you. People like to throw down in the stands these days. But all the Denver people were coming up to me and being like, hey, may the best team win today. Have a good time out here in Denver today. I was like, don't expect that sort of treatment if you go to Pittsburgh for a title game, right? Too friendly.
Yeah, it is a very friendly area. The good people of Colorado are very nice and welcoming. I would say only maybe the good people up there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, rival the friendliness, because you go up to Green Bay, you can be wearing a whatever jersey of the other team. They'll say, "Oh, they're welcome there at Lambeau Field, where it's good to have you. Would you like a hot cocoa?" And they literally hand you hot chocolate as you walk into the frozen tundra, and whether you're wearing a Packer jersey or not. So it is nice that there are some friendly people out there. And also, Shek, you and I share that mentality. If I go to an opposing stadium and I'm rooting for the other team, I wear a hat. If I wear a jersey, I sit there in my seat, I watch the game, have my arms folded. If my team does something good, I do a little fist pump to myself, a little, yeah. And that's it. That is it. And I've been to the SoFi Stadium out here in Los Angeles to watch my beloved Broncos play. And let's face it, the Charger fans are maybe the most meh in the NFL. They don't care what's happening. But even there, I'm very polite. I'm just, okay, good. That's all I do. That is all I do. Because
smart.
These guys that stand up with their jerseys and their hats and their faces painted in the opposing field going, "You suck. That's how we do it." Like, that's not going to go well for you if it goes, no matter how the game goes. You never know. You know, one of these guys gets too many pops in them, and all of a sudden they want to take out the guy whose face painted. So, yeah, I just kind of stay low, give a couple of fist pumps, and don't try to make myself known. Because I don't know if you know this about me, Shek. I stand out in a crowd. So.
Ironic in a way that you stand out in a crowd, right? You think you would stand below the crowd for the most part of the eye line and everything else. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's the same as the goth kid, the guy who shows up expecting to be treated well if he is head to toe. It's the goth kid too who wants to have it both ways. You know, they show up head to toe, and then if you look at them, they're like, "What are you looking at?" Well, because you wanted that. I'm giving you exactly what you wanted me to give you. One time I was talking about tailgates of the past at the top here, and one time before a Patriots title game in Pittsburgh, my friend Josh brought his Patriots friend to the tailgate. And the rest of us were like, get him out of here. And they were, And he and the guy were like, okay, yeah, we'll have a laugh, but okay. Like, but seriously, get him out of here. What the hell would you bring a Patriots fan to this tale? No, I mean, maybe in September, but not in January, pal.
Not playoff time, and that's another thing to remember. Being a fan, being a C-list celebrity, and being a fan of certain teams, sometimes I get some perks. And the Broncos have hooked me up, and the Ducks out here in Orange County, they've been very nice to me, and they like to hook me up with some tickets. And I know that a friend of mine is a big hockey fan. He says, "Hey, the Ducks are playing, my Buffalo Sabres coming up. Can I go with you and go to the game?" And I'm like, no, because the Ducks are giving me a very nice seat. I don't need you showing up with a Sabres jersey with your Hasek on the back for some free primo seats, and now you're eating the food in the suite. No, I'm bringing Duck fans to that.
Yeah, Dave Dameshek might deserve the Han Solo Edition blaster because of a similar dynamic with the Chargers. They once got me seats when the Pittsburgh Steelers were paying a visit to the old soccer stadium, and I happened to post a video of 80 no, but I did. Well, my kid did, but I posted a video of the stadium being 80 to 90% terrible towel waivers, and maybe in hindsight they were right. Maybe that was inappropriate of me to do. What was also inappropriate of the Chargers to do, and this is great news for you, I think your Broncos are in great shape because you as a diehard football fan know this. One cardinal rule is don't mess with the terrible towel. It has a 0% success rate. TJ Houshmandzadeh proved it. The Jaguars proved it. The Titans proved it. And yet, after they shamed the Steelers in front of a national audience a few weeks ago, they immediately took to social media and mocked the terrible towel. Coincidence that the next week they got destroyed by the Jacksonville Jaguars? I don't think so, Brad. So I think they're doomed.
I will say this about the terrible towel, and the entire NFL fan base is jealous of the terrible towel. And I'll say that as a Broncos fan because it is amazing in its simplicity. It's just a yellow towel. It says terrible towel, but the passion behind it, everybody waves it. Yeah, we've seen players before, give a stomp. I believe there was even a player that maybe used it to wipe their derriere, but I'm not a big fan of that.
Don't do it.
I'm not a fan of that because we all wish our team had a version of the terrible towel that we could just wave, and that's how we show our fandom. And it really looks great. You go out there to the stadium next to the Three Rivers and you wave the towel, and when the whole audience is doing it, it's amazing. So kudos to Steelers fans for what they're doing, and I'm not going to disrespect the towel. One time when I was playing the Pittsburgh Improv, I did an entire show with a towel tucked in my waistband, and at the very end of the show, brought it out, started waving it. Everyone went nuts. I could have done an hour and a half of knock jokes, but the fact that I ended with the towel, standing ovation. I love Pittsburgh.
I once had a half-hour sit-down with Terrell Suggs, and at the end of it, it went so famously, I decided to try to give him a gift, and I said, I got this for you, and before he could even see it, he said, if that's a terrible towel, keep it away from me. And he sincerely gave me a look that sent a chill up my spine. So I didn't throw the terrible towel at him. I almost did. I did take the terrible towel and rub it on those Broncos, that statue outside the stadium. Did I have a role in that victory? Maybe. I don't know. The one thing, before we jump into the jerk list proper here then, is the thing I do find, a tradition I find in Denver, super duper annoying, is after every incomplete pass by the opposing quarterback. How do you deal with that week after week, year after year? After every incomplete pass, the whole stadium goes, incomplete,
Oh, see now this is where we will have beef, Mr. Sheck, because I love that so much. I love that after every incomplete pass, the opposing quarterback knows there's going to be 60,000 people chanting that they just had an incomplete pass. Doesn't matter if the receiver dropped the ball, doesn't matter if it was tipped, doesn't matter if the guy ran the wrong route. No, we got thousands of people looking at you. Incomplete. You messed up. It's the head games. Between that and the lack of oxygen heading to the brain, that's what gives the Broncos a definite home field advantage. So I love the incomplete. I love that chant.
All right. The guy at the trigger, Mike Fuentes, has the Han Solo Edition blaster. If he wants to make me feel the sting, he's welcome to it. As we jump into, like I say, this week's jerk list. This is when, for any newcomer, this is when we tackle Mike and Ethan are going to provide for us a statement. You and I will evaluate if that is a knee-jerk reaction to something we just saw, or if it's a perfectly rational thought given the evidence available to us. Plus, you and I are free to work in some garden variety jerks as we go across. I just tried to introduce a couple there for you. So, with that being said, Mike Fuentes, take it away.
Caleb Williams is the best quarterback to ever play for the Chicago Bears.
Brad, how say you?
Well, see, this is going off of another one of my fandoms, because in addition to being a Denver Broncos fan, I also went to the University of Southern California, fight on Trojans, and Caleb, Heisman Trophy winner. For the University of Southern California. I don't care that he paints his nails. I don't care. I think it's great. Whatever he has to do to give himself a better chance of winning in his own brain, go for it. Back at USC, he lost a game. He ran to the stands. He jumped in the stands. He cried in his mama's lap. I don't care. What's got to get you right, Caleb? Then let's do that. The sad part is this might be accurate, because statistically, the greatest quarterback in the history of the Chicago Bears is Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler.
Sad.
Trust me, I'm a Broncos fan.
We've had Super Bowls for 60 years. Jay Cutler's the best they've ever had.
The best they've ever had. And as many of the Bears fans might want to hop into my mentions and say, no, Jim McMahon. Look up McMahon's stats. Look up his stats.
Passenger, right. You and I would have won that Super Bowl too if we went under center.
Jim McMahon sees Trent Dilfer at a party and goes, hey, look at us. Look at what we were able to do. And then 2015, Peyton Manning shows up and goes, yeah, it was good for my whole career, but that year, come on, passenger. So,
hey, should we call Marino? Let's prank call Marino
right now. So yes, as much as I want to say that is a knee-jerk reaction and that we're just going off on this year, look at what's happening when Caleb finally gets an offensive line. Look at what happens when he finally gets an offensive-minded coach like a Ben Johnson coming in there. He's starting to do well. Now, right now, it's trending towards that direction. He does have to keep it going for another maybe 2-3 years, but if he does, if the best statistical quarterback in your franchise's history is Jay Cutler, I think you got a case.
The bar's pretty low. Yeah, you don't have to do much, Caleb. I will say, as far as that goes, I'm not trying to damn with faint praise. I mean, I'm building off what Brad just said there. I'm not blown away, because he is dynamic, no doubt. But the substance behind it, I mean, he is wildly inaccurate and consistently inaccurate. Consistently inconsistent, in other words. I think the trick is, as you touched on, and I keep pointing at this myself, it's Ben Johnson. That's the difference. I think that Ben Johnson made Jared Goff look great, and now, not surprising to me, that he's doing the same with Caleb Williams. He's great. I love when he has the element of making plays with his legs too. also, there are some underlying statistics that say that he's got. I don't know that there's much history beyond Josh Allen of guys this deep in having played as many games, as many throws at the pro level and college level, of them fixing inaccuracy. That's a hard thing to correct at this stage of one's career. But yeah, I mean, bottom line is I don't think you can throw the blaster at us here, Mike Fuentes, because there's very little competition to push back with.
Okay.
Next up.
Okay. Before we say it's very difficult to fix accuracy, that was like the number one knock against Josh Allen for the first.
He said the only guy, Steve Martin.
Yeah. Oh, that's what he said?
He said the only guy that's done it, like the only precedent so far is Josh Allen.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Caleb,
Mike Fuentes doesn't want to listen. You know what you get for not listening?
I'm only doing literally everything here. That's fine.
All right, hi, Brad. Quack, quack. Yeah. Ducks fly together.
Yeah.
Pack
Let's
at
go
Lions,
Ducks.
Chiefs at Cowboys, Bengals at Ravens equal the greatest collection of games Thanksgiving has ever seen.
Ooh, Brad, take it away.
Wait, all right. Chiefs at Ravens.
Pack at Lions, Chiefs at Cowboys, Bengals at Ravens.
Man, whenever you get Bengals Ravens together, I'd have to look through the Thanksgiving slate, but that's pretty good. Now, I don't think Burrow is back for this one yet, right?
He might be. They ran it down to the wire. They made it seem like he might get out there on Sunday, so I almost anticipate them rolling him out there for this one.
Yeah, and then you got Jamar Chase coming off the 1-game suspension. You got Kansas City. Sort of every week for them is a playoff game. It's do or die. And then the first one is Lions. Who again?
Packers.
Pack and Lions.
That's wow. That's pretty solid. That's going to be tough to go up against that because usually on Thanksgiving, obviously we all know that for years it had to be the Lions, and the Lions until the last 3-4 years were always the dud. That's when you go, okay, that's when we're actually sitting down to eat, is during the Lions game when they're getting blown out by whoever the hell they're playing. Usually when they were adding that first game, that was kind of a sort of, forgive the food pun, but the appetizer. Mm-hmm. But the night game was always the good one. The night game, you could always count on that. This is a darn good slate of games, fellas. I like this.
It's a beauty.
When do you take the after meal nap? What do you miss? I don't know. And unless there happens to be a blowout. But with these kinds of stakes and with these teams, all these teams are kind of like that, good but not dominant, but they still got to win. Like this is a fantastic slate of games. What a holiday! You get to stuff your face and watch great football all day. This is awesome.
The people who complain, I don't want to spend another 20 minutes on the subject, but I mean the people who bellyache about Thanksgiving, it's bulletproof. Food, booze. Football. But yes, Chiefs and Cowboys is a dandy. And if the Chiefs, thank goodness the Cowboys won against the Eagles. That rally really set up Football America for a consequential game between KC and Dallas, who's now in the playoff picture. And Gino Fuentes sent along this thought that the tie. My pal Kevin Hench said the exact opposite of this, that the tie between the Cowboys and Packers earlier in the season is going to cost both the playoff spot. So it's funny that Gino said that's why both teams are going to make it on the NFC side. I think I'm inclined to lean with Gino here, especially if Dallas can pull off the big one and maybe get fairly close to putting a stake into those Chiefs.
Man, and as a Broncos fan, I would love few things more. I can't believe this because I always make fun of the Cowboys. I will be touting America's team on Thanksgiving, and I will be rooting for them to finally kill the Mike Myers of the NFL and get those Chiefs down.
I feel like the sweet spot's got to be maybe first half of the Cowboys to take your meal. You talk about the nap, but when are you going to actually sit down at the table? Or do you even wait out the conclusion of the Cowboys game to then have your meal? That seems too late. I'm going to ponder that one.
You know what? Speaking of naps, let's get the blaster ready, okay? Because this is my A1 tier 1 jerk. All right.
Here we go.
I was flying home yesterday, and on the flight, I was flying home from Peoria, Illinois. Jealous? Of course you are. All right, the birthplace of Richard Pryor and Sam Kinison. Fun fact. So, flying home from Peoria, Illinois. On the flight, I get there. It's a 6 a.m. flight. I'm trying to get home, so I haven't slept the night before. I get into my chair. I am just, I pull the skull cap over my eyes, got my buds in. I'm curled up and I'm trying to get an hour or two of not even sleep, just time travel. I'm exhausted. And I get to sleep, and then all of a sudden excuse me, sir? Excuse me, sir? I'm woken up on the flight. Now, someone's waking me up on the flight. You got to imagine the plane's going down. I've got to inflate this raft. I've got to fly the plane. I've got to do something to ensure the survival of the 80 or so souls on board. No, this flight attendant, stewardess, I don't know what we're supposed to call them. I think flight attendant.
I think that's right.
Yeah, shakes me awake.
Never good when your occupation requires a name change to erase some stink that exists on it. But anyway,
never good. Shakes me awake, and I wake up, and she goes, "Now you can't be falling asleep before we fall asleep." What is this? What is this? And I look at her. I went, "Why did you wake me up?" And as if I just didn't hear her the first time, she repeats, "Well, you can't be falling asleep before we fall asleep." Now, I am not here to disparage flight attendants. Flight attendants have to be waiters and waitresses. They have to be emergency crew. They have to be paramedics. They have to do so much, and they have to deal with people who are truly jerks, who are flying and angry and upset with delays and cancellations and all of that. So I'm not trying to disparage the great people that are flight attendants up in our skies, but this particular flight attendant, as a general rule of thumb, if someone is able to fall asleep sitting upright in one of those airline chairs and you go and you wake them up, you're a jerk.
I like that one. Here's what it's owed to.
Yes.
I present to people, if anybody happens to recognize you said you're a C list, so I would be a Y list or a Z list. I don't know if there are enough letters in the alphabet anymore for me, but if people do recognize me, they always come up to me and say something along the lines of like, "You and I don't like each other," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, "I'm a Browns fan," and I go, I get it. People in the same way, they want to relate to you. They have to crack wise. They have to show you how funny they are. So she woke you up to show you how hilarious you
The killer joke of "you can't fall asleep before we fall asleep." Everyone knows that was said in one of the Carlin specials of the 80s. My God, I was so furious at that. There's no reason. I wouldn't say punishable by death, but maybe flight attendant is not the right job for you if you are waking people up sleeping.
I actually have had people come up to me too, just out of the blue, and go, and I'm with my kids or whatever, and they go, "You're a jerk." And I'm like, no, they don't mean that, kids. It's like they don't think I'm a jerk. They're relating to an old dumb bit that I use.
It's actually a compliment. It is very strange if you're trying to get famous or some notoriety. You never know what's going to catch on. For me personally, one of my more famous bits is that I talked about how in every men's bathroom there's always the row of urinals, and then there's always the tiny urinal that's way down there, and that is reserved for me and your 5-year-old son Zachary. These are the only people who are allowed to use this urinal. So when you come in there and you use my urinal, I have full rights to R. Kelly on your leg. There, I can face no consequences whatsoever because you're stealing my urinal. So I did this as a bit, one of my more famous bits, and now in my DMs, Do I have scantily clad, good-looking women in my DMs? No, I have men going into bathrooms going, here's your urinal, and sending me photos of urine-soaked urinals all over this great land of ours. Whenever someone sees a tiny urinal, they think of me. So you always have to be careful. You never know what's going to break you, and you're grateful for it. You're grateful that you did something that resonated with people, but at the same time, stop sending me pictures of urinals in my DMs.
But what a thrill it would be to be a Brad Williams fan and walk into a public restroom and see you peeing in the little urinal. I mean, God, that would be seeing a tow truck getting towed level excitement.
Yes, that would absolutely be there. Think of any celebrity and what they are known for. Like if you saw the progressive lady in the Progressive Insurance office that you went to, yes, that's that level of excitement where I'm like, what are the odds? Can't believe it.
See, this is what we did it to ourselves. The same thing happens with me. I have bellyache for many moons about going barefoot on an airplane, and I get the same thing. People sending me their eyewitness accounts of like, look, I have bare feet next to me. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to see. Please stop loading up my social media feed with more bare feet. They make me sick. Don't you understand? Did you not get the point? Anyway,
next
flight attendant.
Yes. Next time, I just got to do jokes only about cocaine and hookers. So then everyone just sends me that. But until then, that flight attendant, not a fan of you.
Call it out. Go ahead. Give it the announcement you want to give it, so that we can give it
officially. That American Airlines flight attendant who woke me up with no reason whatsoever other than to tell me a really bad joke. You're a jerk. There we go.
Celebrity Blaster. That's exciting for all of us there.
I think I rented Celebrity Blaster one time in a hotel room. It's good. Kim Kardashian.
Breaking news from the NFL, guys. Adam Schefter, Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski at his press conference today said that despite Dylan Gabriel clearing concussion protocol, Shedeur Sanders will start Sunday versus the 49ers.
Wow.
Pick me up off the floor. I can't believe he couldn't announce it on Sunday for some reason. He had to weigh both sides of it for I don't know who, but so it is going to be Shedeur, eh?
It's going to be Shedeur, and also in other quarterback news, J.J. McCarthy is in concussion protocol. The team announced today.
I don't buy that.
Oh man,
I don't buy that for a second, Dave. I don't buy that for a second.
All right, Brad's been very generous with his time. One more jerk, then, fellas.
The Indianapolis Colts are officially frauds.
They didn't look great, even though they had the Chiefs on the ropes and really should have been able to survive that one. Statistically, the Chiefs won the day. How say you here, Brad?
I believe this to be a knee-jerk reaction. I believe the Colts have been good all year. They have shown again and again in every game they can establish the run. Solid defense. Daniel Jones isn't making a mockery of it. He's not tripping on the 25-yard line anymore. This is not this Daniel Jones. And the Chiefs, like I said before, they're the Michael Myers of the NFL. Just when you think they're dead, they come back for one last gasp, one last attack, and they're able to do that in a game against the Colts. I don't think that's a sign that the Colts are frauds. I think that's a sign that they had a bad game against an opponent that knows how to win. So I still think the Colts are in the mix. Someone will clip this and send it to me if they go on a 5-game losing streak and miss the playoffs. But for now, I believe that the Colts are not frauds. That in the words of the late great Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were.
Yeah, well, who we thought they were around about early October, even though they've fallen back a little bit. They benefit. I'm going to have it both ways here. Again, sort of like we were talking about the Bears QB thing. Damning with faint praise. have a great shot to hold on here because of the competition. You saw the Jaguars on Sunday just about blow that game that they had no business blowing. But they did survive that one. Then they're looming, and they have a real easy ride the rest of the way home. And now that Texans defense has risen up, and that's a little scary. I think I lean with you towards the Colts. They were my preseason pick, so for that reason alone, I'm going to ride along with you. But, Brad, so I think we combine to agree, Mike Fuentes, you're the jerk. Taste it again. I hope you like it. Hey, Brad, great thanks for making the time for us, especially here in Thanksgiving week. We hope you have we trust you will have a great turkey or carnitas or whatever you choose to serve. Ham, I think you mentioned, as a possibility, however you choose to set your table. I hope you enjoy the football and the family and all the rest of it. And don't be a stranger. Come back sooner rather than later, fella.
Love to. And until that time, just know that after every Broncos game, hopefully there'll be me dancing to Pink Pony Club on my Instagram. I do have a clip for when they lose. I've only had to use it twice this year. A clip where Johnny Knoxville takes a microphone and crushes it into my balls. That has happened twice this year. You can go back and look at it if you want to. But yes, follow me on Instagram at Brad Williams Comic, and you can see all that kind of hijinks. And see me on tour, BradWilliamsComedy.com. The Tall Tales Tour is in 2026, and we got dates all over the great US of A.
And you mentioned hanging out and hearing from old Broncos, the guy to hear from based on his post-career deeds, Jake Plummer. Catch up with him. Hear me now, believe me later. Oh,
I have. I have. There's a video on the Broncos YouTube channel of me hiking with Jake Plummer, and he showed me some of his extracurricular activities. They're fun.
Good for you. I hope we invite you for some of that too. Hey, you're invited back anytime you want. Thanks for the time, pal. Have a great holiday.
Hey, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Good fella. I like that, Brad Williams. All right, you know what? It's the QB league, and there's a lot of QB intrigue going on, and Shedeur is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's jump in on some of that. Do you have to take anything back? Let's start with you, Mike Fuentes. It's not that I thought Shedeur was going to be a bum, even though he has a chip on his shoulder, that people were rooting against him or otherwise. I just said that it's hard to draft him given exactly what we've seen since he got drafted, which is not just his old man, but some high-end voices that resonate in pro football, accusing teams, including the Browns, of holding him back. And it's illogical as far as I'm concerned. Anywho, how say you against his debut against the Raiders?
I mean, I just think it's really nice to have your first start be against one of the worst teams in the league. I think we can all agree that the Raiders are an absolute dumpster fire. If the Raiders played the Titans tomorrow, I'd probably pick the Titans, and I'd probably take points. I mean, I'd give points, by the way. But it's just been a weird situation at the beginning. The whole drafting of Dillon Gabriel to begin with, we kind of knew that Shedeur was going to be the second guy on that team after Flacco, and then they trade away Flacco. They stick with Dillon Gabriel probably too long. And I think we talked about it, me and Ethan talked about it in the office a few times. We never really saw anything from Dillon Gabriel that was like, wow, this guy can be a starting cornerback. At least with Shedeur, I know I hate to do a whole start down to one play, but when he threw that bomb, you kind of felt like this might be a thing. So he has that going for him. But honestly, I feel like Shedeur's going to come down to earth like a meteor next game with the 49ers coming. And he's lucky. He's getting the 49ers, no Bosa, no Warner. So it's going to be a tough sled for him next game, even though he'll be at home. So.
Yeah, I mean, I assume the rest of the season is now devoted to seeing what Shedeur is or isn't, and maybe they work Gabriel back in there. But I do think Stefanski deserves to take some slings and arrows here in the same way we talked last week about Shanny. He's just about pristine with his decisions at QB, but he did take Trey Lance. He took Trey Lance when he could have taken Mac Jones, and, Brock Purdy kind of fell into their lap. That doesn't mean you need to throw a parade for them making the last pick of the draft, Brock Purdy. See, he's a QB whisperer. Yeah, that same guy wanted Trey Lance. And I think the thing, we give the same attributes to Kevin Stefanski. Why was he holding on to the guy who would appear after one game to be the answer in favor of Dillon Gabriel this whole time, right?
Yeah, there's one quarterback every draft, Dave, that it seems like we're really weird about. And Shedeur is understandably the guy because he's Deion Sanders' son, and there was all this stuff about him in Colorado. Look, we'll find out a lot about him. He's got a tough road to end the year. The Niners are on the schedule, the Bears are on the schedule, the Bills are on the schedule, the Steelers, the Bengals, and he does have a matchup against Cam Ward with the Titans in 2 weeks. So we'll find out a lot about him. We'll see, but he's going to get an opportunity, and it's deserved. Like, he was a good college quarterback. He probably went way too low in the draft. I thought the fact that he fell to the 5th round was weird.
Well, it's because
so
of
he gets
who
a shot.
his old man is the whole point.
Right.
By the way, to wrap it up real quick, sorry to cut you off there, but we're short on time. We will dig in on the Baker Mayfield injury. That may well be the end of the Buccaneers, except they're in a bum division. We'll figure it all out after Thanksgiving. Have a happy one. We'll be back with you on Black Friday with some turkey leftover recipes and beyond. Until then, thanks so much, my fellow football Americans. Enjoy the turkey, Mike Fuentes. Not the carnitas. It's been a thin slice of heaven.